Here we go.
Unmuted.
Here, all of our previously aired broadcasts of News for the Soul online at newsforthesoul.com. Now let's get back to the show. It's time for Conscious Parenting with Sandra Jones-Keller and family. Welcome back. Let's get you to reintroduce yourself, your show, and what's up for today.
Thank you so much, Nicole. My name is Sandra Jones-Keller. I'm a conscious parenting coach and author. Joining me are my husband, Thomas, and our 18-year-old daughter, Mecca. And we are actually broadcasting live here on News for the Soul Radio and on my YouTube channel. So if you've ever wondered what we look like, go to Sandra Jones-Keller. That's my YouTube channel. And we are broadcasting live in conjunction with News for the Soul. So maybe you've had questions about discipline or tantrums or eating or teens. Whatever your question is, we're going to do our very best to answer it from a conscious parenting perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And I love this topic. He's on the hot seat. I'm not today. So today we are going to be talking about pressuring your child into doing something they don't want to do. So we're going to jump right in. And so, Mecca, tell us what happened.
This is our 18-year-old daughter.
You want like the full story?
Yes, the full thing.
So for Father's Day, my dad sent me he showed me two pictures of, were they Mayan or?
Yes.
Some really complicated designs. And he wanted them on a pair of pants and a jacket. And it was not a design that I specialize in. Am I leaning into the mic?
Well, just talk to the mic. Don't turn that way.
It was not a design that I specialize in because it was like a person with a leopard on his head, a bunch of feathers and designs, and then the other one was like a snake man. So it was not something that I wanted to do or knew that I could do. So I was like, I don't really want to do this. But then he was still like, Mecca, I believe in you. This is going to be your masterpiece. You're going to show this to people and they'll be like, wow, this is going to be your most intricate thing ever. I was like, I don't care. I don't want to do this. But he was still like, I believe in you. I want this on pants and a jacket.
Okay, so hold on. I'm going to stop you for right there. Okay, so just a brief history. So Mecca is an excellent artist. And one thing that we discovered is a great gift is having her hand paint clothing. He's actually had embroidery done. She's done jackets, sweatshirts, pants, shirts. And he actually has on, for those of you on YouTube, he actually has on one of her designs. It's a very intricate, is that an Egyptian eye or hand?
No, it's
what
a
is
religion
it?
symbol. I think it's Indian, maybe.
Is it? So it's this beautiful hand-painted t-shirt. So they become very personal. And so whenever it's Father's Day, Mother's Day, birthday, Christmas, that is our excuse to have her paint something for us. And so we've been doing this for a few years now.
Since I think 2020, because I painted the masks first for you.
Oh, and then that's when we just
2020.
So around 2020 you painted some masks, and then we discovered, oh, wait a minute,
She can do whatever we want.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a great way to personalize clothing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now go on. So you were just talking about he was trying to enroll you in it being a masterpiece and all that.
I didn't want to do it, and he kept insisting, and then we didn't really come to any agreement.
Okay, and so
No,
then
go ahead. And,
That was the end of that.
that was the end of that.
well, continue. Is there any more to it?
Not really.
That's the end of the whole story?
That was the end of the first part, and then we like came back. And
Okay, so then she comes downstairs, and we're getting ready to watch
I
our
needed a nap.
we were getting ready to watch our favorite game show. It was either
Jeopardy.
or Family Feud. So she comes downstairs and she like leans on me and
I'm
says,
like, I need a nap.
I don't want to do it. And I said, well, did you tell him you don't want to do it? She's like, yes, but he won't listen. And so I tried to stay out of it. So I didn't say anything. I'm like, well, just tell him again that you really don't want to do it. She's like, I did. So then he comes downstairs and he continues with, oh my God. It was like, well, Mecca, it's Father's Day.
Do you want me to go to someone else? I'll have someone else paint it.
Yeah, that was,
I don't care. I don't want to do it.
And so this went on for a while. And so finally I jumped in to try to come up with a compromise. And basically I said, why don't you guys
not so fast. You're
What?
misreading the whole thing.
Okay, okay. Why is it that?
Okay, now it's time for my version. And send your questions in email immediately because it's
On the air at telus.net. Call in to 646-595-4274. Or if you're watching us on YouTube, you can post your questions in the chat.
Okay,
so I jumped ahead. Is that what happened?
Yes, you skipped, I don't know, but I'm going to tell you my version of it. And the thing about conscious parenting is each one of us actually has a different consciousness. So we're all going to perceive the same event differently based on our consciousness. So, backstory. Our daughter always makes hand-painted fabric, cloth, there's something at our request for each
Not
time.
always.
Almost always when she would otherwise buy me a gift, which she never buys.
I'll never buy you a gift. I'll only make gifts.
She won't spend any money of her money, but she is an amazing painter. And so I'm more than happy to come up with ideas she can paint on clothing of mine because I absolutely love it. Even this not so simple painting is off the charts great.
Okay, so for those of you on the radio, I know you can't see this, but here is my favorite jean jacket. She did
This
the
is my part of the story.
Okay,
This is my part of the story. That's so anyhow, so this is her last gift to me for this Father's Day. It's a Father's Day gift, and she's going off to college in 2 months. So this may be the last hand painted
I'll be
gift
back in summer.
I'll ever get from her. It may be. So I got very excited about coming up with something that I considered really amazing for her to paint for me. And I submitted it to her very enthusiastically. And she, she was hesitant.
She said no.
She never said no.
Yes.
I said I don't want to do it.
She said she didn't want
said
to
they
do it.
don't want to do it, but she didn't say no.
That is no.
Okay, let me talk.
Go ahead.
Let me tell my whole story. No, it's my story now.
Yeah.
My turn.
Go ahead.
And so I didn't hear her say no if she said no to me. I was very excited. And also, I have not drank caffeine in over 5 years.
What?
And I went out with my wife and had a black tea, bubble tea, which I didn't know was loaded with caffeine. So I come in to present Mecca with my idea, all jacked up on caffeine.
Oh my God.
And very excited. And then I lay it on. I lay it on probably too heavily because my daughter's not a big talker, at least with me. And so I have to read her body language to really tell what she's thinking.
On the bed.
And so it wasn't until she went downstairs and talked to Mom and was curled up into a little ball that I actually visually saw how she was not she was not going to be willing to create this painting for me. Until then, I was still jacked up on caffeine. Just a minute.
Oh my goodness, okay,
that's what I mean. Everybody has
my
a perception.
Okay, go ahead.
So when I saw her wrapped up in a ball and falling asleep, I finally realized, oh, she's really not going to do this, not interested in this. And so then I changed my way.
You became more manipulative.
Yeah, I became more manipulative for a little bit.
I'll have someone else do it.
Huh?
I'll have someone else.
No, we were playing cards. We had finished the game. We were now playing cards.
Okay.
And you were still talking.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
It was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I've had a lot of life in between the past two. Anyhow, let's say I pressured her. I pressured her a lot. The last gift before she goes off to college, I wanted it to be really incredible. I got very excited and passionate about it, and I was jacked up on caffeine. All of that is no reason to make an excuse. I'm just telling you the conditions I was.
Oh my God.
Magic is not
You know,
having
this is
caffeine.
being like taped, so you can actually go back and see how ridiculous this is.
But then it took me a long time, okay, to really realize that it wasn't going to work. So I had to change strategies, and I felt bad for pushing her that hard. And then I realized, well, that's not going to work. And then as time went by, I actually came up with other alternatives. I said, after I tried to manipulate her, after time went by, I came up back to her with a couple of other alternatives that are more up her alley in her painting style, jungle type plants and that type of
Okay,
thing.
do you want to jump in? Or you want me to jump?
No, let me finish.
Oh my God.
And she wasn't. And then she had a choice between the ones she usually types paints and the one we settled on when everybody was feeling bad. So now where are we?
Oh
now
my
you
goodness. Go ahead, Mecca.
Okay, so before I even came downstairs and curled up in a ball, I was on the bed, like falling over in despair. I was like, just like curled. I was curled up on the, looking at this thing, being like, I don't want to do this.
You didn't say it out loud.
I said I don't want to do this. I said, I was shaking my head. I was like, no.
Honey, you are very hard to read. Very hard to read.
Well, okay, what did you think I was doing when I was falling over?
I thought you were.
Up?
I didn't know. I thought you were considering it, thinking about whether you could do it or couldn't do it, but you didn't say out loud anything in particular.
Oh, okay. So hold on, because that was maybe upstairs.
Okay, let's
no,
not.
but hold on. But then we went downstairs.
Okay.
And then she did clearly say, I don't want to do it.
Okay.
Okay. And then I thought we had moved on. And then we were playing cards.
Mm-hmm.
And then you came back with, well, I'll get somebody else to do it.
Okay.
It's Father's Day. And
then he's like, I'm sure you're creative enough to find another gift for me.
Yeah. So basically, like your first direct approach didn't work.
Right.
And so then you went, like you tried to go around the corner with trying to instill guilt or something.
Right. That's right.
Trying to manipulate her with, this is Father's Day. And this is like my last gift.
I'm going to go out to war.
And so finally I did try to jump in, and I said, well, why don't you guys find a compromise, find something that will work for both of you.
Right.
And I tried to explain several times that she doesn't always do the designs that I want. For example, he has this beautiful hand. And when I saw this, I wanted a beautiful hand on my jacket. So the jacket that I bought her sat on her floor for maybe a month. Sat on the bed for a month while she decided if she was going to do it. And then she said, no, I don't want to do that it was a gift.
It wasn't. You were going to pay me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Then I said, well, I'll say this is how bad I wanted it. I said, I will pay you. How much do you want? And she said, I don't want to do it. Mm-hmm. And so finally I had to find a different design.
And then I did that easily.
And so I explained this to him that I don't always get the design that I want, but I work with her. And so this, lasted a couple hours. So what made you finally apologize? Like, because it wasn't until the middle of the night that you actually
2 a.m.
apologized. Like something happened. So what happened in between all of this, in between the game shows, our games, our card games, and then you went to bed, and then all of a sudden I hear, I apologize to Mecca. Like I'm getting ready to go to sleep.
Well, you asked me what happened, so
what
let
happened?
me answer you.
Okay.
Time.
Okay, go ahead. Say something about that.
Time went by, and time gives me time to reflect on what my thinking was and how. Simply, what happened was time, and I got all the events that happened, and where I went too hard, too much, and then I changed my mind and said, oh yeah, now I see this, now I see that. It's just a matter of taking enough time to be able to reflect on it, which is what conscious parenting is. It's not being perfect. It's actually being able to be conscious, or at least become conscious afterward at some point of what we have done. And it's not always in the moment that we catch it. And sometimes it's an hour later, a week later, a month later, a year later, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So time.
So Mecca, how did this feel for you when Daddy was trying to pressure you? Then he was trying to guilt
hyping
you,
me up while also passively aggressively
manipulating, like there was a whole lot going on. So how did that feel for you as a teen, as our child?
It didn't feel good. I didn't really care. I didn't want to do it. There wasn't even a consideration that I would do it. I looked at it and I was like, I know I can't do this well. It's not my wheelhouse. So I was just like, I don't want to do it.
Okay, so but what gives you the strength?
Stubbornness.
To say no.
Stubbornness.
So say, what do you mean stubbornness? Say more.
I was like, I don't know. I'm stubborn. If I don't want to do something, I won't do it unless you give me like a really good incentive or work out an alternative.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just not.
So did you feel guilty?
No.
Okay.
It didn't work.
It didn't. So
Your manipulation didn't work. Didn't work for 1 second.
So why didn't it work though? Because it was actually pretty good. The whole Father's Day thing was actually pretty good.
You'll be going off to college. This is your last present. This is
All right, I
this is
see.
your masterpiece.
So, but what, hold
Okay.
on. But why? So, but why didn't it work? Because we're talking about this because as parents, oftentimes we feel we have a right to demand stuff from our children or to pressure our children, and they say yes to things that they really, really don't want to do. And so how did, like, what, I mean, stubbornness, okay, but say, like, why didn't you feel guilty? Or when?
I can share you some light on that.
Well, I'm asking her, then you can.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know.
Yes, I understand.
Because you just weren't interested.
I wasn't interested.
And you knew that you had nothing wrong.
Yeah, I was like,
I think there's a little more to it than that.
Okay, so I'm sure you want to jump in. And then we have some questions, so go ahead and jump in.
Hold your questions because we're not clear on all the outcomes of it. But anyhow, I have consciously from day one of her birth, her life, attempted, not always successfully, to not lay guilt on her. That's been a major tenet of mine. A couple of major tenets. Not project my unfulfilled desires on her, like things I didn't do in my life that I want her to do, and not to lay guilt on her. And she has demonstrated time and time again when people, your mother or somebody else,
I don't care.
tries to guilt her into something, it doesn't compute. It just doesn't compute.
I won't recognize it half the time.
So now at 18 years old, how could I think that laying guilt on her would be a successful tactic? Only because I was so jacked up on caffeine.
Oh my God! Blackie does not have that much.
Okay, you can.
Wait a minute, is that a defense I can use in court?
No, you cannot use that.
No, but I slipped. I was too invested in being right, and I tried to make her feel guilty for not wanting to do the image. That's all there is to it.
You wanted what you wanted.
Yes, I wanted what I wanted.
Okay, Mecca, can you see that better than we can? Can you read those?
Read all of them.
Okay, Lily.
We're going to get into questions already. I don't feel resolved.
Oh, okay.
Because we got a whole part. The whole point of apologizing, my apologizing to you, is to say, what I did was say, in essence, say to you, oh, I see where I went off the tracks.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I won't do that again. It happens sometimes. But that's the point of apologizing, is to learn and continue on. And the other point is, I'm not here to live life hesitantly, being worried about making messes. I'm here to live life passionately. And if I make a mess and then realize it, I go back and apologize or clean it up. But that's the whole point. Sometimes we get too scared about offending somebody or making a mess that we don't live a life full on. But we find our messes, go back and apologize, and then continue forward in life. I'm done.
Are you complete?
I'm at the moment.
Am I reading them?
Yeah, because you can actually see.
Lily in the UK. I want my son to continue on to university after graduation, but he wants to motorcycle around the world and find himself. I'm at my wit's end as I always had university as a plan. Not only that I would be worried sick having him travel that way. What can I do?
That's a good one.
That's a great.
That's a
That's
good
a
one.
great
Lily?
question, Lily in
First-
the UK.
Lily,
Are you gonna answer?
yes, I'm
Okay.
going to answer this.
Go ahead.
Conscious parenting is, for me, the whole thing of conscious parenting is not, like I said, not projecting my unfulfilled desires onto my daughter, things that I didn't accomplish in my own life onto my daughter, or it is actually for me to be observant of how she unfolds in life and see what she's interested in and how I can support and love her and encourage her, but not direct her in any particular direction. So you're saying your son is interested in finding himself in motorcycling. Well, it sounds like, to be honest, you had the agenda for him going to university, and you are been so dead set on it that you're now disappointed that he's not following your life path for him, but he's looking for his own life path.
Yeah, I think that sums it up. I mean, you know, we all want the best for our children, and we all think we know what's best for our children, and then they come along and say, no, that's not what I want. And so he's graduated from high school. Yay, because that is a huge accomplishment. And I'm sure he's probably 18, so he's an adult. And this is where I find the balance of parenting, because I want what I want for my child, and then my child has their own life purpose. And sometimes the two are very different. And so when we talk about conscious parenting, it's like what Thomas said, it's holding the best for my child and letting her go and doing my own forgiveness work so that I can let go of my agenda. The whole story that we just shared about Thomas trying to pressure Mecca, I mean, it seems like a small thing, but it really isn't. It was, he had an agenda. He wanted what he wanted. And, you know, Lily, you want him to go to college. And I totally get that. I'm thrilled that our daughter has chosen to go to college, but that's her life path. And if she had chosen something different, then we would have to deal with it, because she knows the next step for her soul fulfillment. I don't. And it may look like college and it may not, but fortunately for her, and I say fortunately because I was invested in her going to school. We've been talking about it for years, and we homeschooled the whole time. And so when she started high school, I did ask her if she wanted to go to college, and then we geared her curriculum toward that. And I get that it is scary, you know, your son motorcycling around Europe, and this is the time when you got to turn him back over to his higher self, because there's really nothing you can do. And what that means is knowing that he is divinely guided and protected, so that when he's out there, you know, talk about listening and following his intuition, following how things feel. Like if someone doesn't feel right, if a situation doesn't feel right, don't do it. Go the opposite way, so that he's trusting his own inner guidance and awareness. And then, and you know, and just instill these values, because you can't make him go to college. And I understand that it's scary. And, you know, as a mother, you know, our daughter is going away. And so I'm doing my own forgiveness work on letting her go and being okay and knowing that she is safe and protected. Mecca, do you have
What
anything
would you say to Lily? What would you say to Lily
Because
in
you're,
this situation?
yeah,
You're going to college.
I know.
He didn't say he's not going to college. He said he wants to take a
year
year off and go travel and
He doesn't say he wants to take a year off. He says he wants to
Travel
travel.
around. on
Not
the
like a
side.
gap year. It just says travel
Oh, okay.
around the world. Find himself.
I know. So you're a young adult now, as the school says.
Minor.
You're an emerging adult.
No.
So any advice you can give to Lily that may soothe her heart
Or her son.
or her son?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. So Lily, I hope that helps. And as a mother, I understand we want to keep our babies safe, and it doesn't matter how old they are always our babies. And so I really, just encourage you to do your own inner work, deal with your own fear and anxiety, and turn him back over, knowing that he is divinely protected.
Yes, and I'll just finish up with
Go ahead.
this as well. Lily, I understand. I feel you. And I can also say possibly to encourage your son to trust his intuition. And if this is what he really wants to do, support him in that rather than causing a distance in between the two of you, so that he feels free and empowered to go out into the world and do whichever he's doing, and that he will feel welcomed coming home and not pressured in the directions you want him to go, because he's going to do his life whether you're on board or
Right.
not.
Right.
So just be on board.
And support him any way that you can.
Yes, the whole point of conscious parenting is the children that have been coming in for the last 20, 30, 40 years are sentient beings. They are conscious beings, and they don't need the same and won't accept the same kind of guidance that my generation had, or generations before that. They just won't take it, put up with it. Look, my daughter wouldn't put up with me pressuring her for a painting. So
Absolutely.
don't let it cause a break in the quality of your relationship with your son.
Thank you, Lily, for
Next one,
writing
Mecca.
in. Mecca, read that for us, please.
Jeannie.
Janine.
Jeannie? No,
Jeannie.
there's an IE.
Okay, Jeannie.
Jeannie? In New York, my daughter is constantly pushing extremes with her clothing choices to the point where it's causing problems with her teacher at school. I want her to learn that it's not wise or safe to be over-sexualized at her age 15. Every time I try to enforce things, she goes more extreme, even sneaking clothes and makeup to school and changing there. I need help.
Okay. Excuse me. Want me to start?
Yes. It's a female with a female daughter.
Let me just be with this one for a second. What I have found, Jeannie, in New York, is that a lot of the teens and the clothing, I mean, just trying to go into certain stores and buy clothing that covers up the body parts is sometimes difficult. And I was surprised at the prom dresses, even that, like, how high the slits went. And so what I would say then is what you're doing is probably making her go more extreme. And I would start looking at, like, what boundaries is she pushing? What message is she trying to get? And I would do my own forgiveness work. And I would look at, like, what is she showing me? Like, what is she resisting against? Because people talk about, teens pushing back and resisting and stuff, and that it's a natural phase. And I think it is in part, but I think a lot of it is, if there's nothing to resist or push back against, then that energy dissipates. So I think the power struggles come in from parents and adults trying to control them. And so you say that she's causing problems with her teachers at school. And at 15, it's time to learn, the consequences of your behavior. And so if, she's been warned, if they've talked to her, then there are going to be consequences that she may or may not like that she's going to have to deal with. And it may be a suspension, or maybe staying, what do you call it when you have to stay after school? It's not suspension.
Detention.
Detention. So maybe detention, it may be suspension. I don't know what kind of school, but it sounds like it's time for her to start learning the consequences, and then also talking about, the over sexualized, a lot of this comes from what they're watching online, the role models that they have. And so for you to have positive body images, positive body image conversations with her, I think could be very beneficial. And then also to talk about modesty, I'm losing my voice, but to talk about modesty in honoring yourself, because the modesty where you're like actually covered up is about you honoring yourself and not trying to project an image that probably isn't really even the case. But I would really start with doing your forgiveness work. So everyone is a mirror of ourselves. And I'm going to have Thomas really talk about mirroring in a minute. And so I would say, so my child is a mirror of me. So what am I seeing? And so start breaking it down, and then do your forgiveness work on that, so that it's not about you trying to control her, which is going to push her even farther, but you doing your own forgiveness work. And then you may just have to be okay with her having consequences in school that she may not like. And, you can also talk about like her future plans, like what does she want to do after school? Is she going to, take a year, or, go get a job, or does she want to go to school? Because all of these impact. I mean, employers now are looking at kids' social media pages before they even hire. So like all of this stuff has consequences. Now, when we were young, like the stupid things that we did were not online, were not on video. Mm-hmm. But now this stuff stays with you, could be for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. And so have those types of conversations, like, thinking about your future as your 20-year-old self, as your 25-year-old self going in for a job interview. Do you want, this visible to a potential employer? So that's what I have to say. And then Thomas, and then Mecca, see if you have anything to add.
I just want to say I haven't heard or read anything in your statement about her intelligence or the quality of her character, and maybe it's time to focus more on that and encourage and loving her from that, because, well, I think the story about you and Mecca when she was very young in the shopping cart is perfectly applicable in this situation. You pushed, she pushed, you pushed more, she pushed more, and then you had to open up your heart mm-hmm. and actually talk to her as a person mm-hmm. and not lecture her,
right?
To get to a point where both people were willing and open to hear.
Yeah, so she was 2 years old, and it's actually a story in my book.
Here, I got it.
Tips and Trips of Parenting and New Age Kids. So Thomas is showing it for those of you that are on YouTube. And so it's a story in my book. So Mecca was 2, and she had gotten into this habit of pulling things off the shelf or crawling out of the cart and throwing stuff on the floor at the grocery store. And so someone suggested that, just give her a little pinch to try to control her. And so I did that once. She cried and she looked at me like I have never seen her look at me. And she stopped. And then we were in the grocery store again, and I did it again, and she pinched me back. And I was very clear that was not going to work with her. Like, that's not who I was committed to being as a parent. And so, as Thomas said, I just talked to her. She was only 2, but I really talked to her about cooperation, about let's work together so that we can go grocery shopping and it's a more peaceful situation. Did you want me to say more about that?
No, that's just it. The harder you push, the more they push back.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, one of the 2 parties has got to stop like I did with my daughter finally in the opening story, and said, oh, I'm sorry, I get it. I was pushing.
Mhm.
Let me open my heart and ask for forgiveness and just love you and see what we can do together, if anything or nothing.
Yeah, but it's about really creating a partnership with your child for their upbringing, because you say, I try to enforce, even the word enforce. So you're trying to put your will on her.
And you are seeing in a reflection of her the same strength of will, saying, I'm going to do what I want to do and forget you. So the harder you push, the more she is going to resist. And then two parties will end up with broken hearts instead of somebody opening their heart and forgetting their agenda and let it play out.
And so you say even sneaking clothes and makeup to school. So where did she get the clothes? Did she buy them, or did you buy them for her? And so I invite you to look at the types of clothes that you buy her that maybe you think should be worn over here, and then she's wearing them over here, but maybe they may or may not be appropriate in either place. Because I do see a lot of young girls with short shorts, 14 and 15, with their butts hanging out. And their parents bought these clothes for them. So you can't buy the clothes and then complain about it. So we could have a whole conversation about that. But Mecca, do you have anything you would like to add?
No.
So why do you cover up? Because you don't show your booty.
You wouldn't let me. You make me like buy long shorts.
Yeah, but you never. But I think it was more no, because you wear baggy stuff, or
I love baggy jeans.
I don't think you can put that on me though. No, because you have a very particular style that I have nothing to do with. I mean, there's certain clothes that I didn't, but you didn't even want them though. Even when we went looking for prom dresses, the prom dresses that had the slit.
Also you can't walk in those.
But the prom dresses that had the slit up to here, like
I
you,
my prom dress.
right? But your prom dress was more modest than the other one. So why did you pick that prom dress versus the ones that we saw that were like had the deep plunging neckline and the slit?
It was comfy.
And what else?
Not cheaply made.
Okay.
And I could move in it. Because like I couldn't move in the Long Mermaid one, so.
Okay. So that's all you're gonna say about it?
What else you want?
Well, I don't know, but you say it was because I wouldn't buy you short shorts, but did you ever want the short shorts? Because I never heard you say that you wanted the short shorts or any of that kind of stuff.
I don't know, because that was so long ago. So.
But even now, you buy a lot of your own clothes, and you don't buy short shorts.
I think it's been instilled in me from you.
Well, you're going off to college, so you'll be able to do whatever you want and wear whatever you want whenever you want.
So it was instilled from you.
It was instilled, and so
like an innate thing.
Our computer just went down.
Okay.
Let's move on. Thank you, Jeannie in New York. Sheila in San Diego. What does that say, Mecca?
I've been having a really difficult time adjusting to my suddenly empty nest. I miss my kids so much. How do people do this and not get depressed?
Oh, we are
about to be empty
nesters
2 months.
In 2 months.
We have prepared ourselves ahead of time as much as possible. We both realize what's happening, and we have both gotten our own things going on and things together going on purpose, such as I'm doing public speaking now, and Sandra has her own business going on, and developing this and much more of this on purpose, because we know we'll be empty nesters. Yet I am allowing myself to feel every emotion that comes up freely, not try to hold myself back or contain myself as we go through this process. This empty nester is an initiation process, just like it is an initiation for our daughter to go off of college. It's an initiation for us to go into a new phase of life. And that new phase of life can be exciting. It can be eye-opening. It can be something we need to explore and find out what we want to do with our lives now. And it's happening either way.
Yeah.
And so, you know what? I've been speaking a lot about retirement lately. And retirement is also an initiation where people move into a different phase of life. And often they feel wonderful for a few months, a number of months, and then everything starts to creep in. Like, what am I doing with my life? Is this all there is to life? Is there nothing else I can do out of life with life? The fact is, most people, including myself, have 20, 30 more years of life. And I'm very clear that I want to create more and more in life and build things. So retirement is not a phase I stayed into very long, but so is sending your children off to college.
So, yes. So, Sheila, I have actually been preparing for this for a couple of years. So, our daughter has been homeschooled since the very beginning. And around her sophomore year, I started looking at the amount of most of my activities had been centered around her homeschooling, ice skating, we've been on more field trips than the law allows. So because that was my commitment and that's what I wanted to do, but I did realize a couple of years ago that she will be leaving. And so I think that they've already left. So you may have an adjustment period, but you got to start doing things that bring you joy. Because Sheila, you are more than just a mother. And so I get that you miss your kids, and I know that I'm going to miss her terribly. Everyone knows that I'm going to cry, and I'm going to try to at least wait until I get into the car.
I'm not.
I don't think you're gonna make it.
I can cry anywhere.
And so, and even now, like, I find that I'll have these waves of kind of sadness. But I've also been cultivating my own life again, where I started thinking about what is it that I enjoy. I have a regular exercise routine that I do weekly. I walk, I bike, I do my strength training. So you've got to find things, whether it's yoga or a spin class or swimming. So start remembering. I actually have a workshop that I've developed called 3 Things to Do for Yourself Before Your Homeschooler Leaves the Nest, because it is a critical point and we invest so much in our children and then they're gone. And it's like probably not even a thank you. It's like, see ya, I'm off to my next stage of life. And you're sitting there like, what do I do with myself? So Sheila, what you do with yourself is you find things that you enjoy doing. And each day you get up and you think of what will bring me joy today. Is it visiting a friend? Is it going to lunch? Is it going to a movie? Whatever it is that brings you joy. And start doing at least one thing each day that's just about you, that brings you joy, so that you can start pulling all of that mothering energy back and mother yourself.
Make your daughter proud of you.
That's good. Yes, because we don't want our children worrying about us.
No,
like
make her proud of you. Make her like, my mother did this after I left, and she is amazing.
Okay, Mecca. Oh, thank you, Sheila in San Diego. Thank you, Jeannie in New York. And we have Linda in Toronto.
What is the cutoff point for when it's too late to switch to a conscious parenting approach from authoritative mode?
Aha.
My sons are in their teens now, and we are going through a rough time.
I'll tell you when.
Never.
No, right now. Right now that you wrote that message, that is the time to switch.
It's never too late, Linda. It is never too late. And you just start cleaning it up.
Yes, and there is no cutoff point.
Literally, I wrote this book, Tips and Trips of Parenting a New Age Kid, and it talks about, how we've raised our daughter. And if you were here for the beginning of the show, we've been on this journey with her for 18 years, and we still mess up.
Well, I just did. We opened with my story.
Exactly. So it's not about being perfect. It's not about doing everything right. It's about as you learn more tools, more conscious tools, then you just implement them. Thomas has had to apologize to Mecca many times. I've had
Absolutely.
to apologize to Mecca many times because sometimes I was unconscious and I was not doing conscious parenting. And so it is never, ever too late. Even if your kids are out of the house
And adults.
it is never too late to start. That's why we have the Conscious Parenting Show. That's why I have these books, 21 Lessons to Empower the New Age Kid, Tips and Trips of Parenting a New Age Kid. They're both available on Amazon. I have resources. I've got virtual workshops online. You can visit my website, sandrajoneskeller.com, because parents need support. I've got a conscious parenting support group where my intention is to have parents like you come and say, how do I do this? How do I implement this? So conscious parenting.
Come means join on Zoom. It's a Zoom
yeah,
group.
it's a virtual. So conscious parenting is about seeing your child as a conscious, intelligent being with their own life purpose that is separate from yours. And so when you can start acknowledging that, that changes the foundation of parenting right there, because they're not your possession. They didn't come here because, ooh, I wanted to be a mom. It's like, this is a conscious being with their own life purpose, and we are here to be way showers for them.
Let's see.
And so as you start implementing tools like using mirroring, letting go of control, creating a partnership, instead of this whole list of rules, like sit down with your kids and say, okay, what would actually work for you guys? Like, this isn't working. So what would work? So include them in the parenting of them, because the authoritative is like, you say what I do. Well,
They're already showing you they're not going to do that.
They're not going to do
anymore.
that.
So just shift gears, open your heart, have a conversation with them, not a speech you're performing, but a conversation with them. Tell them where you are, frankly. I see that this is not working. Can we work this out together? And maybe we don't have ideas now, but we'll come up with it tomorrow or next week. But let's all three or four think differently about it.
Think partnership.
Yes,
think
partner, not
partnership. And that right there will help you shift gears immediately. Think partner. What are you doing?
Oh, let's see if there's anything anymore.
I know, but just say something. We're like, think partner. See, this is what I have to deal with. I mean, so we're on a conscious parenting show, and he's throwing stuff across the screen. Okay. So Linda in Toronto, it is never too late. You can start now. You're listening to this show, so you're
already on the path.
So thank you. Let's see if we have any other questions.
There is no turning back.
Okay, one more question.
One more. Let me read it.
Okay.
Rachel in Boston, my 17-year-old son wants a tattoo. We have constant fights over it. How can I get my way conscious? Are you asking us to manipulate your son consciously?
Oh, that is funny, Rachel.
This is the best question of the night.
How can I get my way consciously? Oh, that's funny. So that's an oxymoron. So getting your way and being conscious are like two different paths. So, I love that.
That's okay. That should be a skit.
How can I get my way consciously?
Yes.
That is awesome. Okay, so Rachel in Boston. So at 17, he's almost an adult. So I would ask you, what is your resistance to the tattoo? So is it something that's offensive, that you feel he's going to regret in a few years? Or like, I would be more self-reflective, Rachel, to see what your resistance to the tattoo is. And it may have absolutely nothing to do with your son, because you're saying, how can I get my way consciously? So even in that phrasing has me think that you use more of a manipulation type of parenting versus conscious parenting. And as Thomas talked about earlier in the show, manipulation, one, it doesn't feel good for anybody. And two, it really just doesn't even work. And so when we talk about power struggles and the fights, I would just invite you first to just look at what is your resistance to it? Like, what is the tattoo? I don't know what the tattoo is. I don't know if it's something that's just totally offensive that he wants to put on his face, or if it's something that's going to go on his arm that, you won't see most of the time. What do you think about that?
I think it's a complete opposite. There's no way you can get that using with the words of consciousness. It's going to be a manipulation, and your son's going to reflect that back to you in his own manipulation. It'll just escalate into more and more of a mess. So, drop it. Drop it. Your son's 17. He's days away from being legally his own person. And why go out on a bust instead of going out and supporting and loving him and encouraging him and having a great relationship with him because you opened your heart?
Yeah, so I think we would need a little more information, Rachel, if you wanted us to go deeper with it. But just based on what we have, he's 17, tattoo, and you want to manipulate consciously. So yeah, just be self-reflective and just like look at what your resistance to the tattoo is. Is it really just about control? Or is it you're afraid that he's going to regret it? Or, there could be a number of different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And so do your own self-reflection and forgiveness work and then see. And then I would approach it of, okay, so how can we create a partnership with this? Okay, you want a tattoo. Where do you want to get the tattoo? Is it going to be something that's going to be offensive? And when I say offensive, something that is hurtful to other people. And there are a lot of symbols that are hurtful to other people. So if it's, so I would have a conversation with him. Let's see if we have any. Thank you, Rachel in Boston.
What I see the theme of tonight's show is people pushing hard for their, that's reminds me of my story. We opened this show with.
What's that?
People pushing, and then it becomes a mess. And one person, hopefully the adult, will reconsider and apologize, and they'll come back together.
Okay, you say that, but how many times, I don't know about you, but I don't remember my parents ever apologizing to me.
Well, we're not talking about that generation. This is right now,
this
2024.
Is right now. Okay, but this is right, yes, this is right now. And you've got a lot of parenting techniques that have been passed down from generation to generation. And so we're using these parenting techniques that have no relevance to these kids that are in front of us.
I think we have to be willing to say to ourselves, I don't know anything. How my dad, when I was pushing Mecca, I actually heard my dad's voice inside of me say something that was very manipulative that I could say to my daughter.
What was it?
And I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
I stopped myself from it because I could actually hear that much, at least in that moment, with all that black tea caffeine.
Oh, I'm not buying the black tea, but go ahead.
But you can forget about what your parents taught you when you were growing up. The moment is right now, and how you are with your children, and forget what your parents and your grandparents did. It's a clean slate. Mm-hmm. It's a whole different energy, day and night different. These children are different, and either we get on board with them or we distance ourselves from them, which is exactly what we don't want.
Right. And so, I love conscious parenting because it's unique in that it's not trying to focus on changing your child's behavior. Conscious parenting is about us as parents looking at who we're being, looking at where we're coming from. Are we trying to manipulate? Am I just afraid? So I'm saying no because I'm afraid. And so that's why conscious parenting is about really being self-reflective, so that I'm not parenting from my fear. I'm not parenting. My dad parented a lot from well, this is what I did as a kid, and I don't want you to do that. So I'm going to say no. And so that what he did as a kid had absolutely nothing to do with me. So you're bringing like all of this past into the relationship with this kid that's in front of you, and it has no relevance to them. And so conscious parenting is not about trying to change your child's behavior. It's about creating a partnership. It's about recognizing that they have their own soul path that they're living, and we're here to guide them, to be way showers, to teach them how to navigate living on earth, not here to plan out their lives, not here to try to control them, not here to, make them, be our servants. It's like these souls, these beings have come here to elevate the consciousness of the planet. And how do we support them in that? And so when you start looking at them like that, then it automatically changes how you parent, how you speak to them, and how you're being with them, because you recognize their divinity. Yes, we are.
I'm just going to say next month I'm going to show you the hand-painted jean jacket my daughter did create for me, that she's in the process of doing right now, coming up to Father's Day. So make sure you're here next month for that revealing.
Okay, so just real quick, I have 2 workshops to support you on your conscious parenting journey. Passionate parenting in this new age. I'm talking, guys. And this is a virtual workshop that is perfect for parents looking to reduce power struggles, stress, and anxiety with their tweens and teens.
Sounds familiar.
And DIY mindfulness for tweens and teens. Students learn practical mindfulness concepts for everyday life. And the topics will help them recognize and manage their emotions and teach them the power of their thoughts. And they'll also gain tools to help them self-regulate and ease stress and anxiety. You can go to my website, sandrajoneskeller.com, on the courses books page to register for these life-changing events. So once again, we've come to the end of our show.
We have an assignment. I have an assignment. Make sure this weekend you go out and have some fun with your child or children.
Amen. So thank you so much for joining us. The Conscious Parenting Show is live the second Friday of each month here on News for the Soul Radio and YouTube Live. Thank you, Mecca, and thank you, Thomas, for joining me. And please visit the News for the Soul archives. We have 25 other shows so that you can binge listen to these shows and catch up on where we are. My books are available on Amazon, and for more information about me, visit my website, sandrajoneskeller.com. And until next time, happy parenting.
Happy parenting.